It'll be quite a challenge for Mahomes. These two teams are very evenly matched. They have identical win-loss records. They've scored the same number of points, and they have the exact same number of all-pro selections. Even our analytics are split right down the middle, giving each of the two teams in Sunday's Super Bowl a 50% chance to win, which makes it just about as good a matchup as you could possibly imagine. So we have to talk about the margins, right? Like what makes the difference? What are the key matchups in this game? What are you looking at, Neek?
I think it's easy. The one time I've seen Patrick Mahomes really struggle in an important game, it was because the offensive line came up small. And in this game, I think the offensive line that they have now is much better than that line that they had against the Bucs, but they're going up against a defensive line. And the Philadelphia Eagles that you mentioned, they had 70 sacks this year. They're relentless, and there's not one guy on that D-line, despite the fact that Hassan Reddick is great, there's not one guy on that D-line that is overpowering. They just have lines and lines of D linemen that'll come after him. So Patrick is good at avoiding sacks. That offensive line is much more talented, but I think the story of this game is going to be told by who wins in the trenches.
What do you think,
I
Rob?
agree with that. And I think more individualized, it's Reddick versus Wiley. And Wiley is like the weak link here at tackle. Let me go down the list. Okay, Brown, tackle, 18th overall rank. Tooney, 6th overall rank. The center, number 1 overall rank. Smith, 11th. Wiley, 63rd.
Uh-oh.
63rd. So when you're going against Reddick, he already has 3.5 sacks in the postseason. That leads the Eagles franchise in the history of playoffs. He's got 19.5 on the season with combined play from the season and the playoffs. So you know he is going to be the guy that's going to be getting after it. And of the 11 sacks that Patrick Mahomes has had in the playoffs, 8 of them have come from just a 4-man rush. So of those 11 sacks in all their playoff losses, it's going to be vital that this offensive line is able to stop that pass rush.
One way to keep the rush off him is the run game. What do you think about that?
And Dan, to Nico's point, the part is fascinating to me. Will Andy Reid break a tendency as a strategist? He only likes to run the ball a third of the time, but their best matchup may be Isaiah Pacheco, who rushes for 4.88 yards per carry against a very suspect Philadelphia Eagle run defense that was 24th in the NFL. So if there's a vulnerability on this great Eagle defense, it's stopping the run. So the juxtaposition of that versus what Andy Reid likes to do, which is to throw early, to me, is the fascinating part of this strategy.
So your argument is to take the ball out of the hands of Patrick Mahomes. I think the Eagles would like that game plan too. I'd be happy to let Patrick figure it out against that pass rush, honestly.
But that's what's the interesting part to me, which is the best way to slow down a pass rush is to run the ball. I don't want to take the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, but that's why I'm so fascinated by the strategist of Andy Reid. How will he approach this game?
Mahomes has been playing hurt. He's on that sprained ankle, right? They activated Clyde Edwards-Helaire from IR yesterday, so they're a little deeper at running back. Maybe Andy's going to break that tendency you're talking about. I don't know. What do you think?
So you think about a pass rush, you have to earn the right to pass rush. So to get to third down, to get third and long, you have to be able to stop the run easily. I mean, if you're playing a Patrick Mahomes that is mobile, right, what is his ankle going to look like? Because the last time we saw him play, when he was rolling to his left, had to actually plan on that foot and throw the ball down the field, he came up limping, and you could see the grimace on his face. So with these 2 weeks here, how recovered is that ankle in the 2 weeks that he's had? That's going to be vital to see, because as a pass rusher, I can tell you this firsthand. When you're going against a quarterback that can extend plays, and Neek, you know this in the secondary, once that quarterback gets out of the pocket,
miserable.
It's so hard. It's impossible. It's basically impossible. So it's going to come down to the pass rush. Number 1, stop the run. Then you can pin your ears back, but not getting behind the quarterback and letting Patrick Mahomes run around.
He spoke at, this is a Meanwhile on Planet Earth, he spoke at an astrology seminar on Monday, and yes, I'm serious. This is a little bit of a rundown of what went on during the astrology workshop that Aaron Rodgers spoke at, talking about learn how to be comfortable and happy in your own skin, understanding your birth chart through the 4 elements. Typical Monday, like most of us have. And then here's Aaron speaking at the seminar over a shot of his own birth chart. I guess, what is he, a Sagittarius? Did we figure that out? Sagittarius? So,
sure.
Yeah, Armina Kimes was following this on Twitter for a while, and there was a tweet she was interested in about Sagittarius, right? Key dislikes feeling confined and being subject to rules. And you see there, Yes, Mina found that interesting as well. And Dominique Foxworth finds that interesting. And let's be honest, on some level, whether we like it or not, we all find this very interesting.
I'm interested.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I want to know what Aquarius is.
What do we make? You want to know what Aquarius? Well, I mean, look, I'm sure you could have logged on to the seminar. I mean, seemed like you're slacking.
I think, I'm not into astrology, but I mean, it's no weirder than a lot of other religions are. So if it works for him and it makes him feel comfortable, more power to you, Aaron Rodgers. And he does seem happier. But I do think, he seems happier. He seems in a better place. And if the stars and the moon can do that for you, then I'm happy for you. And what Mina found suggests that maybe there's something to that. But anyway, I would suggest that Aaron Rodgers take his time and figure out what he wants to do. And the best place for him, in my view, is back in Green Bay.
Well, I don't think that he needs your encouragement to take his time and figure out what he wants to do, because it seems like that's his thing, right? The offseason comes along, he bops around to all these places, he drinks some tea, he goes and checks out his star chart. If you're the general manager of the Green Bay Packers, what do you need to see and hear and when?
A deadline a week before the league begins, which is about March 7th. And here's why. We have Jordan Love. We are going to move forward with Jordan Love. We would love to have you back, make about $60 million, Aaron. However, you are not a free agent. So if you want to play football and you want to talk about a trade, we're going to do it before the start of the league year. There's way too many moving parts for us to accommodate you in June, July, and August. So if you want to play, great. We'd love to have you back. If you want to be traded, this is a three-way transaction. I was part of it when we traded Brett Favre. If you want to go to the Raiders and they're offering a 7th-round pick and the New York Jets are offering 2 first-round picks, we're not just going to allow you to go to the Vegas Raiders. So this is very complicated. And the key here, guys, is he is not a free agent. He's under contract. He is not going to retire. There's $60 million at stake. And this, to me, is why the Green Bay Packers have the right to create a sense of urgency.
They don't have the right. They lost that right when they went and drafted Jordan Love. So Aaron does not need my permission to take his time, but I would laugh in your face if I was Aaron Rodgers because he has the leverage. The reason why they were able to treat Brett Favre the way they treated Brett Favre was because Aaron Rodgers was cold. He was a great damn quarterback, and they're like, all right, go do whatever you want to do. If Jordan Love had been the player that they wanted him to be off the bat, they would have already gotten rid of Aaron Rodgers. So, like, all this tough talk from the Packers now is like, you signed up for this over and over again, and you took your shot, and you missed. And now that you missed, I'm in charge.
Tough love it is. Wake up. Like, you could draw a line in the sand and say, you know, we've been nice. We gave you all this money, tons of money. I think it's fair if they said, you know what, you're either going to play for us or you're retired.
I don't disagree with you. Like, it's fair to draw the line in the sand. The point I'm making is that line don't mean nothing.
Right.
Because you don't have an alternative. Like, your alternative is to go to a guy that you guys obviously didn't believe in, or you would not have extended Aaron in the first place.
They've also spent the last couple off seasons pretty much giving him everything he wanted, including that contract that pays him $60 million a year. You don't think there's a chance he goes to them and says, yeah, I would play, but only under the right set of circumstances, so we have to work together on a trade?
Right, and what I would say, that's fine. But again, once the league year begins in March, like, that ship has sailed, and create a sense of urgency. And Nick, I totally get your point that Green Bay made their bed when they drafted Jordan Love, but so did Aaron Rodgers when he signed that extension. He could have tried to avoid the contract and play for free agency. Understandably, he took $60 million. I'm not.
Right, I don't disagree with you on that, but my point is, if we're talking about leverage in this situation, which it can be like a friendly conversation and relationship, which it suggests that Aaron has been saying in the past that it's been better, but if you come in there with this hard line in the sand, then it makes it contentious, and when it gets contentious, you have to figure out who has the most leverage, and in my view, right now, Aaron Rodgers has the most leverage in this conversation, so Gutekunst and everybody else in that organization, they need to chill out. You knew what it was when you signed up. Aaron Rodgers has been like this since Aaron Rodgers has been in the NFL. You can't all of a sudden be like, oh, we need a firm answer. He's never given you a firm answer.
Not quick.
I think it gets contentious when careers are on the line, because if you're a coach or you're in upper management, you're trying to figure out, what do we move forward with this team? And he's not giving them an answer.
That's not his fault. It's not his job.
I think then it creates that line in the sand where you're like, figure it out. Tell me what you need. If you're here, great. If not, then go do your.
It's a business. That's what y'all say to players, right?
Look at the stars, and do your Aquarius stuff.
Mike, when you cut a player, you're like, it's a business, right? Yeah. So Aaron can say, well, it's a business. Tough.
He has
sometimes it hurts.
The last couple of years kind of tilting this to his advantage. We'll
Good for him.
continue to follow Aaron's movements throughout the offseason. Ravens cornerback Marlon Humphrey was asked by a fan on Twitter if he did any recruiting of players while at the Pro Bowl, and his response said, every time I try, I'm met with, are y'all going to pay Lamar? Which is a very interesting reaction. It tells you that Players around the league and on Lamar's own team are curious about when and whether a deal can get done. We've been through this the last 2 off seasons. They have not reached an agreement, and as I mentioned, he's a candidate for the franchise tag if they don't. How important, Mike Tannenbaum, is it for the Ravens to get this deal done soon?
It'd be great. It would give them long-term certainty in terms of team building. We all know they need another receiver. So if you get this piece in place, then you could certainly go out either in free agency or a trade and try to get the best receiver you can. As we know, any receiver is going to say, who's your quarterback? So this is not only gives Lamar Jackson the security he's deserved and earned, but from a macro team building standpoint, guys, like that certainty allows you to do everything else that Marlon Humphrey just alluded to.
Not very many players, free agent players in football have a bunch of choices. But the ones who have a bunch of choices are the best ones. And those ones are looking for opportunities where not only they can get paid, but they can succeed. So, yeah, the longer you wait on Lamar Jackson, the more difficult it makes it to build your team. And then the other side of that is the more you pay Lamar Jackson, the less you have to offer free agents. But it's how you build teams. Like, it's not a new thing. It's something that the Ravens had to do in the past, and every team has to do is figure out how to make the contracts work to be successful. But no matter what you do, whatever magic you work with the cap, it doesn't matter if that man's not working magic on the field. So you need to figure out how to get him locked up and comfortable enough to play to the best of his abilities on Sundays.
If you're a player deciding where you want to play, like how closely do you look at who the quarterback is and how long they're going to be there? Yeah.
I mean, I was on a team where veteran players would come play for us because they wanted an opportunity to play with a great quarterback. So that's everything. And if you've been on a team with a bad quarterback, you understand how bad it is. So if you are the Ravens, you have this franchise guy right there. Just go sign him. Do the right thing and sign him, because what he has brought to this organization, I think that if you sign him right now, you understand it gives you long-term stability, that this is going to be our guy, and then you can go out and get the pieces that you need to go get.
He was looking last year for a fully guaranteed contract, along the lines of what the Browns gave Deshaun Watson. The team has made it clear they don't want to do that. Should he or they?
No, I mean, it's principles on both sides, and both of them I can understand. But I'm always going to side with the player in these situations. So I'm completely biased, because what he's doing for this team, I think, is much more difficult to find than what he's looking for. He's looking for someone to commit to him. There's a bunch of teams who need quarterbacks. They'll be willing to commit to him. They're not a bunch of MVP level quarterbacks on the free agent market. They're zero. So, I think that he has the leverage in this situation, and they should probably end up capitulating.
You know what's really interesting to me? If the Ravens give him the non-exclusive tag, which is about $32 million, would there be a team that gives up 2 first-round picks to sign him? You know, a team like Atlanta, who they feel they may be close. I think that would be really interesting. It's been a long time since we've seen that happen.
Didn't the 49ers trade a bunch of picks for uncertainty? Like, lots of people trade picks to get quarterbacks that they hope are good. You can trade a couple picks and get a guy that you know is great.
Which is why a couple years ago when Dallas was franchising Dak Prescott, they used that exclusive tag, and I would think the Ravens would too, but if they don't, you're absolutely right.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.